answer to the first question, okay, with geographic barrier speciation occur, it is called allometric speciation. And an example of sympatric speciation in Galapagos Island, which the example we talk about is the finch. So this is another example because finch, they diverge into different types of species because of different type of food they eat. And in this case, the sympatric speciation is not due to the accident in cell division. It is due to the different kind of food they eat. So example of this, it is a volcanic island like Hawaii or Galapagos. They are basically isolated. It's an isolated island. So when a population, when a species go to live in those islands, they are basically isolated from their distant parent population. After they live in that island for a long time, they may diverge. And in this case, it is the allometric speciation because they live in an isolated island for a long time. But even after the allometric speciation, they can still further divide into new species by sympatric speciation. For example, this is the example of the 14 species of closely related finches. They are different in the feeding habit, the habitat, and the beak, which is something that we talk about because of the food they eat. So how come it will happen, this sympatric speciation? Well, think about this. Galapagos Island is an island, and it's not that big. And when you have a population of finch live there, they will compete with the same kind of food, right? When they compete with the same kind of food, then they will deplete the resources very quickly. In order to survive, they have to diversify the kind of food they eat so that they can all survive. So because of that, because of the driving force for them to survive, they have to undergo this sympatric speciation to force themselves to feed on different types of food, and then they develop different types of beak to feed on different types of food. For example, you see the beak, the cactus seed-eating finch, finch, they have this type of beak. And the woodpecker finch, they have a lot longer, they have this very sharp and strong beak. And then this is the so-called vampire finch. They literally feed on the blood of other animals, and then the shape of the beak is also different. So remember we talked about microevolution in the last online video lecture. Now we talk about macroevolution. Macroevolution is changes above the species level. It has something to do with mass extinction and also the recovery of the species. Well, the animation, you can download the video and then watch the animation. So, fossil. Fossil, what can fossil tell us? Fossil can tell us what happened in the past and when did they happen. So fossil can tell us these two things, what and when. And then from the genetic changes, we have something called homeotic gene. Homeotic gene is the master control gene that can control the expression of the gene, and also therefore it can control the structure of the organism. The homeotic gene affects rate, timing, and spatial pattern of the organism. The rate meaning that how often it expresses the protein, timing, when, at what stage of the life of the animal this gene is expressed, and spatial pattern meaning that what location, where it expressed in the organism. So remember we talked about the homologous structure of the animal. We give you an example of the limb, the forelimb of the mammals. So this is basically a review of that. It gives you an example, the hind limb, slow growth rate of the hind limb, and the pelvic bone leads to loss of a hind limb in whales. So this can be due to the homeotic gene. And the homeotic gene in the back is that, okay, the increase in the growth rate will produce an extra long finger of the bone. The extra long finger of the bone in the back becomes the wings. So this is the extra long finger of the bone here becomes the wings. But if for the whale, they lost the hind limb. So all these are controlled by the homeotic genes. Pedomorphosis. Pedo means a child or infant. Morphosis is the structure or the shape. So what it means, pedomorphosis, is meaning that adult retain some juvenile structure, juvenile features. Adult animal retain some juvenile features. They give you two examples, axolotl, salamander, and humans. We and this salamander, we also retain some juvenile features. So this is the example axolotl salamander. The gill, the so-called external gills here, these are the feature that when they are young, when they are infant, they use these gills for breathing. But when they become adult, they use the lung for breathing. But even though they use the lung, the gill is still there. For human being, what is the pedomorphosis in human being? As you can see that this is another video, but you can watch it after you download the video. You can see that as a baby and as an adult, basically we look pretty much the same. We have the same structure. So this is a question that you can think about. How do we account for the dramatic differences between this similar group? So how do we explain that they may be the same species, but they look very different? How do we explain that? In the next video, I'll explain it to you.